Hey guys, I'm Jade Ocean. So today I'm going to show you guys how to do a deep tissue myofascial tissue massage on yourself. And so I want you guys to have a lacrosse ball. Lacrosse ball is awesome. It's rubber and it has a nice grip, so it grips onto the floor and onto your skin. So you can pick these up at like Big Five or anywhere, pretty much any sporting goods store. They're awesome, they're cheap, they're the best. I do recommend it. Anything else will either cave or slip. This has just enough give, so it puts the right amount of pressure without hurting you too. So lacrosse ball, pick one up. This is what it looks like. Yay. And then I'm going to do stretching on one side with you, and then also do just one, stretch on the myofascial tissue. So we're going to start off with opening, and then we're going to go into just one stretch, and then you guys can do the other side on your own. I just want to show you what to do. So I recommend having a bolster for under your knees, and then having a strap for the stretch too. And then make sure that you guys have, a nice little table to do your deep tissue on. So I'm going to show you what to do. The hamstring is the back of the leg. There's three long separate muscles of the hamstring. There's the outer area, so it's the lateral hamstring, and you have in the back and then on the inside. So we're going to hit all of them today. Hamstring is connected, so it's a multi-joint muscle, so it's connected at the sitting bones. It's the ischial tuberosities right here, the sitting bone, butt bone, and then at the knee. So it flexes the knee, so it contracts like this. So if you can see, sitting, walking, anything like that, that's what it's responsible for. And then also too, it pulls the leg back, so it extends the leg. So we're going to work on just keeping it nice and stretched and getting it back into full range of motion. Also too, what happens is, from sitting a lot and not using it enough or not lengthening it enough, it becomes short over time. So we want to make sure we get our hamstring into a full range of motion to allow it to stretch, so it's not over time pulling on our back. Because remember, it pulls on the sit bones, so it'll go like this, and then our back will start to round. So that's a cue. Maybe your hamstrings need to open up a little bit. Another thing is hamstrings work just a little bit too hard sometimes because we sit all day long. Our butt muscles, our gluteus medius, become very weak and almost dormant. So I'm going to make a different video for you guys to check out, so look for it, and it's going to be on how to strengthen our butts, which is always nice. So that'll help out because we need the glute muscle to support the hamstring. They got to work together because it's just not fair to the hamstring to do everything. So anyways, let's grab a ball. Let's go ahead and sit down on our table. Make sure you guys have a nice sturdy table. You guys can have something to make your feet up, so that way then your legs parallel to the floor. So if you need to like bolster it up. Also too, you can place a towel or a blanket underneath your bum to place the lacrosse ball on if it's too intense and too much, okay? Because putting a blanket down below the lacrosse ball, so if you set the lacrosse ball in a blanket and then put your leg on top, it'll allow a little bit more give. Okay, so I'm just going to start off on my table, and then let me bring it over here for you guys. And so what I want you to do is place your left foot. We're going to start with the right side. So place your left foot on the floor, and then have your left foot on the floor, and then to stabilize and support yourself, and then you're going to lift your right knee up and place this little guy underneath the top, so close to your sitting bones. Remember, it starts in the knee and comes up, so we're going to start in increments here. We're going to start at the top and then make our way down to the bottom. So let's start right up by the sitting bones, and we're just going to let our knee just kind of fall down and take a deep breath here, maybe placing the big toe on the floor. You can have this foot elevated as well. You can place a ball or something underneath, but just allow yourself, position so that you can find a little bit of ease and stability here. So deep inhale, make sure your spine is, lengthening up. So we want to inhale to lengthen through the spine, the crown of the head. Make sure that the shoulders are back. You can grab onto the table just for support on the edge of the table. It depends on what kind of table you're on. But, just find security here. So I don't want you to be all over the place or feel unstable. Make sure that your left foot is on the floor, the hamstring is on the table, and then your right one is lifted up and the ball is just settling down there. So obviously the hamstring is responsible for bending and flexing the knee, but right here, gravity is just pulling and letting the leg, the lower half of the leg, just fall and settle. So what that does is it allows the hamstring to be relaxed here. Okay, so we're allowing gravity just to push down and allowing the hamstring not to be in a full range of motion. Now, when it's in full range of motion and we try to do this on the floor, what happens is when your hamstring is pulled, it doesn't allow the ball to go in because it's pulled fully. Also, to our gravity, our pushing point, so our pressure is up here at the top. So when we start to go down, we're not really pushing down. We end up rolling the back. And remember, when we're going in full range of motion, it pulls on our pelvis. And so we go into this rounded spine. So this is a really good, being elevated up, allowing our pressure to be nice right over top of the hamstring. We can move our body forward without feeling like we're going to round our back. So keeping the back nice and strong here. And deep inhale here, keep breathing. You can allow your right hand just to rest on the hamstring. Not necessary to put pressure on it. We're just going to go in little rotations here. So keep rotating nice and slow. Make sure that you get the outer hamstring. And then, yeah, it does not feel great. So when we do this deep tissue, it never feels good. It's never like, oh my gosh, this is the best feeling in the world. But it does allow for that deep kind of breakdown of the tissue. So then when we stretch, it allows it to just flex and stretch, right? And so we want to feel discomfort, but not pain. So lean into the discomfort, but don't allow pain. Okay, so being aware, noticing, the difference between the two. Discomfort is, just, it feels like tension. It feels like, okay, I can sit here. It doesn't feel good, but I can sit here. I could do it. I could still keep my spine up. I could still breathe. I'm not tingling anywhere necessarily to the point where it feels weird or like my leg is going numb. You can have sensation, you can have feeling in there, but it shouldn't be painful where you can't sit on it and it just hurts you, or you feel like you have to compensate your posture in any way. So that's the difference between the two, okay? So backing off if it feels too much. Keep circulating, so make sure you're on the outside, moving to the inside. You can use your fingertips just to guide the ball over to the inside. You'll notice one area seems a little bit more tense than the other. So noticing where that area is, and then what I like to do is just allow the leg just to soften. Keep rooting up, so I'm pressing down with my left sitting bone, lifting up through the spine, lifting up through the crown of the head, which is back here, just keeping softness and ease and length in my upper body, and then just allowing gravity to maybe just let my leg sink a little bit deeper into the ball. Okay, maybe if you feel brave or you feel like it's time, you can remove or maybe soften the padding up just a little bit, or undo the padding a little bit so it's not so soft. And then just rotating into that area, maybe finding that spot and just rocking into it, but allowing the leg to soften, no stiffening the leg. Don't stiffen any areas. You'll notice the foot gets stiff, the toes get stiff. So we want to find ease here. We want to deepen our breath and soften our body and keep our upper body nice and upright. Now all we're going to do is bring the ball down just a little bit. So now I'm going to be from the top, and I'm going to come down just a little bit to like the middle of the hamstring, but the upper portion of the middle. So baby increments, same thing, rolling in little rotations, little circles. Now my table is very teeny tiny, but if you guys are on a bigger table, of course you can spread the legs a little bit more and put your hand maybe in between and really like move around, maybe twist from the torso, leaning just a little bit over top of that right hamstring as you putting pressure as you rotate it. So just finding what works for you. Remember, keeping the spine nice and straight, so no hunching, no rolling. If you're going to twist a little bit, make sure you're twisting just from the core and keeping the shoulders, so no dipping like this. Remember, so you can see my spine is curved when I do this. You want to keep your spine nice and straight. So we're tilting forward just ever so subtly with the hips. So we're tipping forward just a little bit if we're going to come forward a little bit. And don't come forward with your upper back. You want to bring the whole torso forward. And deep inhale. Keep breathing. Remember, when you find that area of just, a ting, a little bit more tension, maybe feel free to, you can lift the leg up just a little bit by just lifting it. You could also place something under the leg. You can go tippy toe and just lift up, maybe, just extending the foot out so then you can get some length and lift off of the cross ball a little bit. And then just allow yourself to breathe and settle into that spot. So we want to break everything down. Also, too, what I want you to do is begin to just straighten the legs. So we're just going to extend, go into range of motion, fuller range of motion with our hamstring. So we're opening the hamstring, opening it as we do this. And it just allows the ball to go just a little bit deeper. Also, too, what I like to do is pull the hip back as I open the knee up. So you can bring everything forward on the edge of the table, and then as you extend the leg back, you could just pull the hip back, and it allows the ball to move towards the knee a little bit more, and that'll just get in there and just kind of push all that ickiness out, that tension out. So remember, just keep moving. And then bring the ball just a little bit more forward, move the hips back a little bit more. Now we're coming towards the top and close to the knee here. And keep breathing. Same thing, little rotations, just keep moving around, just keep it going, keep the breath going. You're clearing the head. Maybe here, because our gravity, our center of gravity is changing here, and we're a little bit further back, so you can come forward. But also too, it's nice just to put a little bit of pressure maybe on the leg, the top of the thigh here, closer to the knee, not on the knee, of course, you'll hurt your knee, but just keep it like right above the ball, and just circle, little circle rotations here. Remember, keep breathing, allowing our body just to open up. You can always switch the rotation. You know, if you're doing this on your own too, I do suggest highly to, maybe sit in different areas. So we're doing little increments here, maybe each increment staying with it for maybe a few minutes. It's always good to maybe keep it for a minute or two if possible. If you could do longer, but it's good to allow it to move and feel the areas that are tense. Sit and rock in the areas that are very tense, right? You can lift your leg up. You can find ways to allow that to not be so incredibly crazy tense and painful. And then maybe extending the leg out, okay? So we're stretching the hamstring, allowing it to go a little bit deeper in there. So that's what I like to do when I'm doing my little deep tissue. So go ahead and come up off of the table, and we can move the table off to the side. You guys can have your little mat, or you can lay on the floor. Make sure that you have your strap with you. I'm going to place my ball over to the side here, and go ahead and grab your strap, and then we're going to place our bolster underneath our knees here. So placing the bolster on the floor under the knees, very carefully come back and be sure that you have your strap right next to you. Okay, and then let the legs just extend straight out. All I'm doing is having my heels, you can't see me, but my heels are all just extended straight out. Deep inhale here, so we want to pull the tailbone down. And deep inhale, lengthening up through the spine, drawing that oxygen, that energy into our bodies, into our bellies, our chest, opening our ribs up. Just full embrace of inhales. Exhale, softening the ribs down. Always, I'm always doing this. Maybe tucking the shoulder blades, bringing them down, softening the neck, allowing your chin to be, neutral. We don't want to be tucking it. We don't want to be bending the head back. So just finding that neutral alignment. Same thing as when we stand up. Of course, our knee's a little bit soft here. Go ahead and bring your right knee into your chest, and then grab your strap and then place it around the ball of your foot. So the ball of your foot is not quite on the arch, but a little bit higher up. So we're gonna grab the strap in each hand and extend your leg straight either up or towards the front corner. Don't feel like you need to have your leg hiked all the way up like this. It's more important that you just have that feeling. Always keeping your knee a little bit soft here, okay? So that way you're not just dumping into the knee. So for those of you who hyperextend, make sure that you keep your front quad just a little bit, active, and a little micro bend in that front knee. That doesn't mean bending it, it just means not allowing it to just buckle out, okay? So we want to keep, so it doesn't go clunk out of it. So we want to keep a little bit of, mobility in the knee there. And deep inhale, keep the heel pointed, either towards the corner, up, or flexing the foot. So the foot's coming down towards the torso. And then we're keeping that right hip down, pulling down towards the left heel. The left heel is actively just, it's settled on top of the bolster, but it's on the floor, so it's actively pulling onto the floor. And I want to draw my right hip down. As soon as I lift my leg, what happens is my hip wants to come up for the right. So we want to pull my right hip down so the outside of my leg is rotating down. It's like I'm pulling my inner leg towards me. Deep inhale, make sure you have equal distance, about equal distance on both sides of the torso. Remember, we want to keep a nice neutral spine, upper body nice and neutral here. Make sure your shoulder blades are on the floor. And deep inhale, maybe lifting the leg up a little bit higher. If you need to bend the knee just a little bit, I would like you to keep your leg a little bit straighter here. Staying here for a few breaths. Just keep breathing. Keep checking the checklist. So keep the right hip pulling down. Keep the ribs softened. The belly's a little bit firm here, right? Because we're lifting the leg up. So we want to support the lower back. Keeping the shoulders soft and down. Actively pulling on the strap with the arms. You can loosen up on, I always say loosen up on the reins because I used to ride horses, so I always say that. And choke up or loosen up on the reins. So bring the hands further down on the straps and allow the elbows just to fall into the floor. Or you can bring it a little bit higher up. What I don't want you to do is be reaching. So I want your shoulders softly on the floor. Just find softness. Even though your arms are active, you're soft in the upper body. Softening the jaw. Keep breathing. And again, you can always stay with this pose a little bit longer. I'm just going to move you through it just to show you. I do suggest maybe staying 3 to 5 minutes in this position right here and just breathe through it. Keep the checklist going. Keep the right hip pulling down. Just try to soften the mind. Give yourself permission just to soften and settle the thoughts here, okay? And just focus on the sensations of the body. So right now we're going to pull the straps and then bring them into our right hand. I like to, choke up on the reins, as I said before, or you can wrap the strap around your hand. We're going to very carefully extend our right leg. So from the heel, we're going to extend it from the hip and open it to the right side. But I want you to extend your left arm out to the side, to your left side, and then very carefully let your right leg just extend out to the side. Maybe if you have a block, you can let it fall onto the block. That's perfectly fine. Once again, maybe choking up on the strap a little bit. So you're going to notice the stretch going maybe from the back, and we're all different, but maybe going from the back of the hamstring now into the inner thigh area, so the groin area. Maybe even feeling a little bit of, sensation in the left hip, the front hip area, or the outside of the hip. And just keep breathing here. Remember, keeping the right hip pulling down towards the left heel. So we want to actively pull that down so that when we have that space, we're not crunching on the right side of the torso. The elbow here is on the floor. My leg is now on the floor. And I'm just going to pull my foot up towards me and keep pulling my hip down. Find ease here. Find softness in the breath. Remember, keep breathing into the side body, into the belly, focusing on the breath. Maybe noticing the sensations of the body, but keeping the alignment as neutral as possible. And keep breathing. Remember, keeping the right hip down. My left hip is touching the floor. My left heel is touching the floor. My left foot is flexed. You can't see it, but I'll show you. It's flexed like this, and it's up. It's not too stiff though, but I want to make sure that my foot is, facing up and not just falling to one side. I want my hip to be neutral. The front of my quad, my upper leg to be facing up on my left side. So when you're ready, go ahead and begin to very carefully lifting the heel back up, the legs coming back up towards the sky or towards the front corner. Deep inhale here. Go ahead and grab the strap in both hands once again. Breathe. Keep breathing. Drawing the pinky toe towards the body. So pulling the pinky toe in, maybe pressing with the big toe. And then let's go ahead and place the strap in the left hand. So we're going to go to the other side. So if you want to place your block over onto the other side, maybe where your foot will fall. Right now, extend your right hand out to the side, and then I want you to very carefully, keeping your right hip on the floor, just allow your leg to go to the left side now. So you're crossing over your left foot, your left leg, sorry. And then you're just going to keep, remember, maybe choking up on the reins a little bit, keeping the foot flexed, keeping the pinky toe pulling in, maybe bending the knee a little bit. So we're only going to go to the left just enough to keep the right hip pretty much on the floor. It may lift just a little bit. A deep inhale here. Breathing. Finding some ease here. Keeping the right hip down and pulling towards the left heel. Keep the breath going. And staying here maybe for a few minutes if you can. I'm going to go ahead and move you into a little bit deeper in this position. So we're going to go into a active twist here, okay? So we're going to go ahead and go into a little bit of a deeper twist here. And I'm going to have you guys, if you have your block, you can allow your right leg to fall onto the block. Otherwise, what we're going to do is now roll maybe over towards the left hip, lifting the right hip over, allowing that right leg just to fall towards the floor. Maybe choking up on the leg, just on the straps, just a little bit to bring the leg a little bit closer. Keep that leg as straight as possible. You may bend it just a little bit. So we're twisting around the spine. Imagine the spine is a pole. Our hips are twisting around. My right shoulder is still on the floor, so my shoulders are still facing up. My core is twisting around my spine. So I'm up on my left hip on the side a little bit, and then my right hip is pulling over, so my leg is straight out to the left side of me. My left leg is, you know, aiming. It's not necessarily on the side because I'm up on the bolster, but it's aiming towards that left, maybe side a little bit more, left corner. A deep inhale here. Keep breathing through this. Exhale, soften. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and begin to lift that right leg back up towards the sky. Lift your right hand up to grab the strap in both hands once again. Pull the right hip down towards the left heel. Deep inhale here. Exhale, go ahead and bend the knee, remove the strap, release the right leg to meet the left leg. And just extend the arms out and notice how they feel. So you may feel a little bit more open on that right hamstring. You may feel a little more sensation, maybe some energy running through it. Just whatever you feel, just notice it. So we stretch without expectation. We just allow our body to be what it is and allow it to give us what it's willing to give us. No forcing. When we try to force something, it just puts a block up, and so it's this pushback. So we just want to go with what our body allows us to do. And if we let our body know it's safe and it's okay, our body will open up. It's like us. When we feel safe, our hearts open up. It's the same thing with our body. So we want to build that memory, that trust in the brain and the body and the nervous system to go deeper. When you guys are ready, go ahead and come back up. And then you guys can do the same thing on the other side. So again, grabbing the lacrosse ball and then placing it, you know, starting with the top, rolling it around, moving it around the top, close to the butt bone, and then again, drawing it down a little bit and going down a little bit further and then coming down by the knee. Same thing, rotating. Remember to extend the leg out, so you can extend out. You can pull, you know, the hip back so the ball moves, just goes in and kind of like drags, right? So it really opens it up and drags, kind of like tears it up. That way then when you go and you stretch it, when you come down to your stretch, it's just like, oh, it opens up. And so spend time with it. Take the time to do this, you know, to get strong. And working out, muscles don't build overnight. It takes time. And as we get older, you know, the stuff gets really shortened and really tight. And so it seems even harder, but sometimes we're just thinking about it too much. So we need to go back to that, just patience and just sitting with things, you know, allowing it to be something that gradually grows and something that you don't push to happen overnight, because it won't. You know, it took time to get there, to get tight like that. And so it's going to take time to loosen it up. And so, like I said, make sure your mind, if your mind is hard and, you know, it's just, it doesn't allow anything to change in your body. Strong mind, strong body. Hard mind, hard body, okay? So you guys got to make sure that you just soften and allow yourself to breathe through it. But, you know, take the time, spend time with it. Okay, that's the biggest advice I can give you. And look out for my other videos. Make sure you subscribe to my stuff, to my channel. That way you could get everything. I'm going to make sure I do everything for everything I can possibly think of. So just look out for it. And, you know, there's other hamstring stuff I'm going to show you. That was just one stretch. And as you can tell, it takes a long time. And this was just kind of like a brief running through it. So, you know, on your own time, do the other side. Make sure you hit the other side. And then, you know, can rewind this, start the video over, and just do the left side, what we did with the right side. Just walk through it. So, and then I'll show you different things to do. So you don't have to do this laying, you know, supine stretch. You could do other stuff too. So I'll show you some more things to do. And that's it for today. So make sure you pick up a lacrosse ball and subscribe to my channel. Bye, guys.